All right, does that represent a 180 by Donald Trump, that he won't go aggressively after Hillary Clinton or her husband or the Clinton Foundation or any of that stuff, or recommend a special prosecutor to pursue this through the Justice Department? It's hard to say. This much is not. He's under enormous pressure from the right, and many on the right who still want to punish Mrs. Clinton. Progressive radio show host joining me right now, Garland Nixon. We've got Republican former Chief of Staff to Senator Mike Lee, Boyd Matheson, Bree Payton here as well, the Federalist Millennial politics reporter. Bree, what do you think he is intimating there? I don't think he is going to go after her. I don't think there's going to be any prosecutorial efforts, at least coming out of the White House or his Justice Department. But I could be wrong. What do you think?
I think it is curious that he's deciding to kind of squish on it now. I think Donald Trump is very well aware of just how terrible Hillary Clinton is as a person, and how she and her husband have evaded the law for decades. So, you know, I think he is in full knowledge of everything that she has done and that she has evaded justice for a number of decades. And so I think that it would be a failure on his part if he does decide to not go on with his word. You know, this is a candidate who promised us that he would hold the politicians in Washington accountable. This is someone who told everyone that he would bring Hillary Clinton to justice, and by appointing a special prosecutor would evade the very bungled investigation from what seems like a very biased and self-interested FBI director. So I think it would be a failure on his part to not make good on his word, and I think it would make him part of the problem.
Boyd, a lot of people would say he succeeded by defeating her. It's a moot point now that it wouldn't be worth re-churning all this up, and it would get in the way of his agenda if all of a sudden we were knee-deep in hearings and investigations again. I'm not excusing or condoning that, but that might be what he's thinking. What do you think?
Right. Well, from what I understand.
First to Boyd, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that he really finds himself now as president-elect at the intersection of political rhetoric and reality of governing. And so it will be interesting to see whether he has a Gerald Ford kind of moment and say, hey, the long national nightmare is over, or even if President Clinton, or excuse me, if President Obama would choose to pardon her before he leaves. Both of those would require some level of admission of guilt by the Clintons, and I don't see that happening. And so the challenge for the president-elect is to, one, can he ratchet down and allow the nation to exhale and breathe? And I think we're seeing that in terms of some of these other protests that are going on. If that happens and he gets the release valve, then what he will do. This will also be interesting to point out how involved he's going to be in the day-to-day operations of things as the chief executive. And so that's going to be a fascinating thing to watch as this all progresses.
You know, I think to both their points, Garland Nixon, he seems to have many more important, urgent things to do, and that seemed to be the message he was sending. Economy, jobs, and he might get an out by the President of the United States until January 20th, Barack Obama pardoning her. What do you think?
Well, I mean, if we look at this from a practical, nonpartisan perspective, a lot of people on the left wanted President Obama to do an investigation on the Bush administration for torture. He didn't do it. Now people want President-elect Trump to go after Secretary Clinton, who was a member of the Obama cabinet. I don't think you're going to see presidents do that for this reason. If you start that snowball downhill where every president, if the administrations change ideologies, they go after the one before, no one in their right mind will accept a position in any administration knowing that if the other party gets it next, that they're going to be subject to endless investigation. So I just don't think it's going to happen from a practical perspective, from a nonpartisan perspective, as to maintain a continuous governance of a country without just endless investigation.
No, I actually would agree with that. And I think I could see your desire to follow up on this and follow up what Donald Trump had said, but I think he wants the focus on his agenda and turning things around. And something like this, justified or no, would take at least one eye off of that, right? Or at least the attention it would be getting in the media.
I don't think so at all. I think the most important point that Donald Trump made throughout his entire campaign was that he was going to drain the swamp, that he was going to hold those in Washington accountable, that he was going to be an outsider, right? That was the entire point of his campaign.
So by not doing it, that would do him more harm.
Exactly. He needs to follow through. He needs to make good. He needs to hold the politicians in Washington accountable. And I think if he doesn't do that, I think he's going to become part of the problem.
Do you think, Boyd, there's any chance in taking such an approach, if he did, that he would alienate those he's trying to reach, extend that proverbial olive branch?
Yes, because he really faces this national issue in terms of can we bring the country together. Obviously, he has a very fragile coalition that he put together with many Democrats and blue-collar workers. And so he does, as Bree pointed out, he does risk alienating them or disappointing them, saying that he's not going to drain the swamp. On the other hand, I think he's also trying to send this message that it's about the economy, and he's also trying to challenge something that is very much part of the swamp. And that is this idea that we are just too divided as a nation to deal with any of the significant issues of our time. And so I think if he wants to exert real leadership in the Oval Office, he's going to say, you know what, it's not so much about this investigation as it is about proving once and for all that we are not that divided, that we can come together nonpartisan, that we can solve problems and really get the focus back where it belongs, which is on the communities, what's happening in the states, how do we actually help individuals and families and communities to really thrive.
Garland, either way, I think it's still going to be a very poisoned atmosphere. I don't see that changing.
Exactly, and he doesn't have much time. Let's not forget, 2018 is a blink of an eye away, and if he doesn't start to come through on a few, at least some of his promises in 2018, he won't be looking at, having all three, all three levers of government at his hand.
You're always a party pooper, Garland. All right, thank you very, very much, guys. Seriously, all welcome insight on this.